Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. I am glad you're here. Got another great episode as always, so you're going to be glad you tuned into this episode for sure. I am Bob Van Buren, your host, and just a reminder, I'm on the air once a week, so you never know what you're going to get. It's a individual guest each week with a very interesting topic. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe, and that way you'll get updates and you'll get all the great information that everybody else gets. Hope you've had a great week so far. Really have myself. Haven't told this story on the air. I haven't really said anything about it actually. I have a new pet now, inadvertently, and what I mean by that is there was a cat that was coming in the backyard, and she seemed a little thin, little hungry. So, out of the goodness of my heart, I threw out a little piece of lunch meat. You know, she scarfed it up. Well, guess what happens when you feed a stray animal? They come right back. So, long story short, for the past few months, I've been buying cat food, and now she's officially mine. So, I was going to bring her in, but she must be camera shy because I look out the patio. She wasn't there. So, maybe I can get her used to the camera next week. I'll show her off to you. So, yeah, there's a new addition to the Van Buren family. Yes, I'm a total sucker or a softie, whatever you want to call it. So, at least with a cat around, there won't be any mice, hopefully. Hopefully, she's a good mouser. So, anyway, there's my pet story. So, I guess it goes without saying, you feed a stray animal, that animal becomes yours. So, no problem at all. It's good company, too. So, I'll try to bring her by next week if she's not too camera shy next week. I have got a wonderful show tonight, and it's something that's very, very interesting to me because I've actually done this, but I have an expert on who's a lot better and a lot more educated than me on the subject. But I'll put the question to you. Have you ever thought about writing a story? Any story. It could be your own autobiography. It might be a short story, could be poetry, or maybe you've got this whole storyline in your mind. You know what? That would make a really, really good story. And more importantly, have you ever tried to write a story? Any story. It could be nonfiction or fiction. I mean, I have. I wrote a theatrical play, not published yet. Got a few little things to take care of. But if you're like me, you write a story, but where do you go from there? Okay, you've got the story in your mind. Maybe you've already written it, but how do you edit? How do you publish? Where do you go to have someone look at it and give you an unbiased opinion? Well, that's where my guest comes this evening, and I'm very honored to have her over the show because let me tell you something, folks. This is a first for the Van Buren Variety Show. For the first time, I have an international guest. Yes, all the way from Europe has come here tonight for the Van Buren Variety Show, and she's going to share her wealth of knowledge. And she's also written many, many books, which we'll also talk about, and you'll have the opportunity to purchase for yourself. So, without further ado, let me bring my guest on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Karina Kantas. She's going to be talking about some of her experience in writing and publishing. And she's also going to introduce us to a new term called world building, which I didn't know a few minutes ago, and also about her book. So, Ms. Kantas, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Bob. Hi, everyone.
Hey, we are so glad you're here. And just for curious, people's going to be asking, where in Europe are you right now?
Well, as you can tell from my accent, I am British. I'm from England, but I actually live on the island of Corfu in Greece.
Greece. Oh, wow. We'd love to see that. I've studied history, especially the Athens, the ruins and all that. I mean, that to me, that's a must-see tourist destination.
Most definitely.
I guess you've been to Athens?
Yeah. I've been to Athens and Saloniki, two the biggest
wow.
places over on mainland Greece, and I've been to where the first Olympics was held. I've been to Delphi,
wow.
which is when you're walking up to the temples, it used to be the temples of the gods,
Yes.
and you're walking up and you can just feel it. You feel the energy around you. It's just
The history.
absolutely amazing. The history, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I envy you. Well, let's talk about some of your experience. And you're a writer, so let's kind of go from the beginning. When did you become interested in writing?
Well, I was writing short stories and poetry, mainly poetry, when I was in my middle school, and in the UK that would have been around about 11 years old.
Okay.
So I started having a wild imagination from a young age, and that just built on, and I'd carry on writing these stories. It wasn't until I was in my upper school, so I must have been about 15 or 16, and I spent one summer making up a little book full of short stories, all decorated around the border, stapled together like a little book should be. And I handed it to my English teacher. It wasn't a project, it was just for me. And she gave it back to me covered in red pen. Corrections here, corrections there, sarcastic comments here, and I was blown away. I was so upset about it. And she turned around to me and she said, "You will never be an author."
Oh, wow. That doesn't lack confidence at all.
No, not at all. But I'm actually glad she said that, because it pushed me.
It was a challenge.
I wanted to prove to myself and prove to her and any other doubters out there, because I suffered from dyslexia as well when I was as a teen. So I wanted to prove to everybody that I could do it. And 27 years later and 14 books later, I've done that. So I do thank her for I hope other teachers don't treat their students like that, because we need to give them motivation and not put them down like that. But it did drive me on. I don't think she did it for that reason. It was malice. It was. If you saw the comments she wrote and stuff, it was malice.
Right.
But I'm glad she did.
But sometimes that's the best way to push somebody. I mean, it's just human nature, I guess. When you tell someone they can't do something, it's like, that's just, okay, I'm going to show you I can do it. So maybe that was kind of your motivation in a strange kind of way.
It was. No, it was. But I don't think she didn't say it for it to be that way.
Sure.
But I turned it around. I turned it into the negative positive. Into the positive. Exactly.
Okay. So you said 27 years that you've had experience in this. Wow, that's really great. So kind of tell us your expertise, actually, kind of broadly, like your writing and your publishing. Okay. I mean, how did you get kind of into all that?
Well, the first book, which is In Times of Violence, that I wrote. There we go.
Okay.
This was actually a short story of 18 pages, and I wrote that when I was, I think, just leaving school. I must have been about 16, and I just wrote it and put it away and forgot about it. And when I came to live in Greece, I live in a tiny village, and there's nothing to do. There's no cinema. There's no anywhere to go or anything. So
nothing to do.
nothing to do. Seriously, it's old people and goats and donkeys and. So boy. I have two talents. I can sing and I can write. And I thought, well, I can't take my singing any further because I don't speak Greek. They're not going to want an English singer in the village. So that doesn't work. So let's move on with the writing. So I picked up In Times of Violence short story. I started typing it up, and I'm saying typing as in electric typewriter. That's how far we're going back here.
Remember those? I remember those.
Oh my God, I feel old. So I started typing it, and one page of manuscript ended up being 20 pages. And I was like, what's happened here? I carried on. And by the time I got to the 18 pages, I had a novel. It was like, it honestly felt like magic was happening, because I didn't realize what my fingers were doing. I didn't realize what I was writing. I was just reading this one line from a manuscript and turning it into something else, building on it,
You're
building on the
expanding.
characters,
Yeah.
building on the plot, building on the mystery, the suspense, the violence that happens in the book. The
Ideas just kept coming in your head.
Yeah,
Right.
it just, and I'd keep on typing it up and getting to that part, and 18 pages ended up turning out to be a novel. Now,
awesome.
The thing was, back in those days, there was a lot of predators. I mean, there still are. We were desperate to get our work out there. And so if someone has this flashing, you'll make your book viral, you'll be a bestseller, you're going to do what they say, you're going to hand over the money. This is called a vanity press, people, and you stay away from vanity press.
Vanity press.
You shouldn't have to pay to have your book published. If it's between a publisher and you half and half, that's called a hybrid. That's very, very popular nowadays, so that's fine. But if a publisher asks you to pay a lump sum to get your manuscript published, then you walk away, run away. So I got burnt badly with my first publisher. They called themselves a Christian publisher. And there was loads of authors that took them to court. We won the case. They went bankrupt. We didn't get a penny, and they're back out the next week under a different name.
Oh, man.
So be warned, people. There are predators out there, especially for someone who's so desperate to get their work out. So you learn from your mistakes, and you don't make the same one again twice. So
that sounds like what happens here in America. We've heard people say that, I'll make you a star in Hollywood. But then you get there, or they take your money, or they do some really unscrupulous bad things, And so we've heard that story. So there's no such thing as an easy ride, So.
No, there's no such thing as a free meal unless you get a proper publishing contract off a small press or traditional publisher. That way, you're being looked after, and you're not going to be paying out anything. So,
sure. Well, tell us now you talk about your writing. Now, this was a question that I have, because I have a work that I have not published. So, what can you tell us about the publishing business, how to get published, and where would like a new author turn that doesn't know anything about what to do?
I mean, the first thing you have to decide is whether you want to self-publish, which of course is what everyone does nowadays. They don't want the third person to get any of their profits, If you go with a traditional publisher, it's you need to submit to them with a cover letter, a few chapters of your story, a synopsis, which is the rundown of everything that happens. You have to give away all your plots, all your twists in this synopsis that only the publisher is going to read. And if they like the idea, then they'll contact you and ask for the full manuscript. So they've asked for the full manuscript, but here's the key. Here's the thing. The office junior is reading your manuscript before it gets passed on to the next person.
The higher up.
And then it goes to the next person. And it will pass about 4 hands before it ends up on the executive table.
4 hands. Oh, wow.
Exactly. If you can get your foot in the door, if you can get past those 4 readers, and you can get your manuscript on that executive table where everyone is sitting around looking at 5 manuscripts, and only one of them is going to be chosen.
After all that. Oh, wow.
This is what we're talking about for a traditional publisher, like the big 5, okay?
Sure.
Then you have the small presses that don't have the money to do the marketing and promotion that your book deserves, and you're left to do that yourself, but they will take and publish the book for you, and it will be under their name, and they'll be able to put it up as an ebook, a paperback, wherever it needs to go. And then you'll be paid royalties by them. The sales will come into the publisher, the press, small press, and then you'll get your royalties after they've took their cut off. So small presses are it's a way of getting published without having all of the expense on yourself. As a self-published author, you pay for the editor, you pay for the cover design, you pay for the formatter, you pay for all your marketing and all your promotion, but it's your baby, and you do what you want with it. You have the you know, you call it what you want, you have the cover how you want, you pick the editor, you know, you promote when you want to promote, you spend what you want to spend on marketing, and so that's all up to you. When you're a self-published author, it puts expense on, it puts a lot of time and effort on. So if you can get a small press to do all that for you, and then it just leaves you to then promote your own book, it's better. If you can get a contract with a small press, it's better. Then there's the hybrid, which is half and half. So basically, publisher wants to take you on, but they don't want the full expense. So they'll take you on if you come with something. So I have a hybrid contract. I have a traditional contract, and I have a self-published. I have a small press, and then I'm self-published. So I have all of them. I'm with all of them at the moment. So a hybrid, basically, I bought in the formatter and I bought in the cover designer. And so they only had to find the editor and beta readers, who are the last person who reads your manuscript before it goes and gets sent to Amazon or wherever the book is being sent to be published. A beta reader will see any errors, glaring errors that you didn't see or your editor didn't see. This is like a proofreader. They will tell you what they think about the book, like give you a review over it, tell you any inconsistencies, any plot holes. They'll find stuff that myself as an author and the editor didn't see. So having a beta reader, 3 or 4 beta readers to read the manuscript, what we call an ARC, which is an advanced author's copy. They get to read that before it's officially published, in case there's anything we need to change before it goes out. So they're the last that you need to hire. So with a hybrid, as long as you bring something to the table and you both agree on the split of royalties after, then it can work out really nice way of doing it.
Well, let me ask you this. When I had written my stage play many years ago, and I don't remember the name of the publishing company, but I believe when I looked it up, they said the only way they would like preview a manuscript, it had to be like in a certain font, in a certain size. Is that the way the other publishing companies are with, you know, with stories? Do you have to put it in a certain font, a certain format?
When you go onto their website, they will have a place to go, which will be for submissions, and they'll tell you exactly the format that they want.
They do.
What to send them, like the cover letter or the synopsis, how many chapters they want, or just a few pages. What sort of font, how much space is in between paragraphs. They'll list everything out, and of course you need to follow those rules, because if you send something and you haven't done what they've asked, then it's going to go straight in the trash. So you don't want to, you want to give yourself that manuscript the best chance it has by following their rules and how they want these manuscripts sent. Years ago, it used to be post only. I mean, there was no sending books through email. There was no ebooks at the time when I first published. It was all paperbacks.
Me too.
Yeah. So it's a totally different ball game now when Amazon bought out the Kindle and ebooks. But it was I used to sell my paperbacks to tourists in the tourist resort of where I was working, and my husband was working, and he was a barman. So I used to go in there and just start chatting to them and tell them I'm an author. This is my book. Would you like to buy a signed copy? I used to do 4 or 5, 6 copies every night, And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I used to sell a lot of paperbacks. And then ebooks came out, and they weren't so popular anymore. And
technology.
So, things changed in the marketing of books over the years. Big changes.
Yeah. That was actually my next question. We talked about your writing and your publishing. Now we talked about marketing and promotion. What can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that? Especially promotion. What's the difference between marketing and promotion? I'll put it that way.
Okay, well, marketing is what you do before you promote. You get all your eggs in a basket, basically.
Okay.
One thing that the big five do look at before they even open your manuscript is, have you got a social media following? If you're set
Really?
up and you have followers and likes on Twitter, on Facebook, and you have a really good number, then your foot's in the door before they even open the manuscript. If you're coming with a manuscript and you have no social media following, because you've never needed one before.
Sure.
You're not even on Facebook, it's never bothered you before, then they won't want to know. Because knowing that you have a social media following, that means your readers are out there. They're waiting for your book. You've got sales waiting. So the publisher doesn't have to worry and think, okay, if I spend money and I get this book ready and we don't sell any.
We don't sell it, yeah.
She's got 20,000 people on Twitter. She's got 8,000 on Facebook, on one of her accounts on Facebook, and then another 15,000 on another account. Well, her readers are waiting for her. So we're going to make money from this.
I see. They want to see that they have the audience already ready before they start printing books out, That
is number one in marketing before you even start thinking about promoting, is to sign up to social media platforms and start getting a following, and do a reader's magnet, which I'll explain to you about in a moment, and then start getting sign-ups for a newsletter. The newsletter is how you communicate with your fans, your readers, how you tell them about your latest news, how you tell them about the new release that's coming out. You do that anyway on social media, but it's more personal, because it's the author writing especially to you, the reader. And you get exclusives and everything with newsletters. And newsletters are one of the easiest ways for an author to get sales, is through newsletters, because what we do is we do this thing called cross-promotion. And if the easiest way to describe it is that I've got 3,000 subscribers on my newsletter. Another author who writes the same genre as me has got 2,000. Another author has got 3,000. I'm going to put my book, which is in the genre that her fans are, into her newsletter. I'm going to take her book into my newsletter. So my readers will then see a book they've never heard of before in the genre that they love, by an author they've never heard of before, and click on it and take a look. Meanwhile, my book is being seen by potential thousands of new potential readers. Now you times that by 5. If you do 5 cross promotions in every newsletter, you see how many potential readers could see your book for the first time.
We call that cross-selling too.
We call that cross-promotion. So that is one of the main ways of getting sales, is through your newsletter. So the marketing is to get your social media platforms sorted and start getting likes and followers, and start joining groups. And don't go there to promote your book. Join to get involved and to talk about posts and other people's books. And then when your book comes out, then you can mention your book about, if someone asks you about it. Hard sell does not work anymore. People don't want to see buy my book posts all over Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. They don't want to see that. What they want to see is they want to know that the author can write. They want to know that they know what they're talking about. They want to know that if they're going to spend money on your book, what they're going to get back from it. And showing a cover and a blurb is not giving that to the potential reader. So a book trailer, a small narration, quotes, review quotes of people who have actually read your book. Now, those 3 things can make a huge difference when it comes to promotion of the book.
I see.
because you need to get out of the box. You need to stand out.
Sure.
You don't follow the herd. There's too many fishes in the sea. I could go cliche after cliche after cliche, but you need to stand out. So
they're looking for an original.
Exactly. And so having book trailers, I mean, there are some authors that have book trailers. Some don't believe in them. I have them for all of my books, and I do them for other authors as well as part of the services for Author Assist. So I feel that book trailers allow the potential reader to see the book come alive. It's coming out like a film, like a mini film, and they get to know the plot, and they get to know, what's going to happen and who these characters are. And you leave them on a cliffhanger, and they have to go out and check out your book. And then, of course, they'll see the reviews, they'll see the blurb, and they'll decide whether or not they want to buy it. And narrations, again, when you have someone who's good at narrating, they allow the book to come alive. You read a small 5-minute excerpt of a cliffhanger, and you leave them on the edge of that cliff. They're going to then go over, and they're going to press that button and want to know what's going to happen next.
That's awesome.
So they're just 3 things. I mean, with the reviews, you as an author can say, "Oh, my book is brilliant, buy it." But of course, every author is going to tell you that.
Sure.
But when you hear it from someone who's actually read it, when you see a review quote or an editorial quote of someone who's actually read and reviewed your book, then that makes the reader stand up and take notice and say, well, if that's what they thought about it, let's go and check out the other reviews. Let's go and see what I think about that book.
Sure. That's very interesting. Wow. There's so many moving parts I see to being an author. So, but let's talk about the writing process too. There's a term, ladies and gentlemen, that Karina introduced me to. I had no idea what it meant. Maybe y'all, the audience, are a little bit more educated than I am. But I'll bring the word out, and she'll explain what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Have you, ladies and gentlemen, ever heard the term world building as it pertains to writing? I heard that. I'm like, okay, I know we're not creating planets here. So, Karina, can you tell me, and well, you told me, but now my audience, what is world building in the context of writing?
Well, we are actually creating planets because we are building a world for our readers. Okay. Whether it's a fantasy, a science fiction, a horror, even a thriller based on our year of where we are now, we're still building a world that doesn't exist because it exists in our imagination as an author. And then you have to relay that and build that world and make the reader, as soon as they open that book, step into that world. And if you do it enough, then that reader is going to be in a film, and they're going to feel like they're that character, and they're going to experience everything that character experiences, because you as an author, you've put yourself in that character's shoes, and you've gone through everything they've gone through. Positive, negative, happy, sad, all those emotions. And you want your reader to feel everything that you felt. And so it's like with, let me show you. Illusional Reality is a duology. It's 2 books.
I see.
That's the first one. Oops. Here we go. Lawless Illusional Reality. And that's the second one, The Quest. Okay. Now, I wrote these after watching Lord of the Rings films.
Oh, they gave you the inspiration for it.
They inspired me. When I came home from the cinema, it was a 1-hour journey, a car journey. And by the time I got home, Illusional Reality was written in my head. The start, the middle, the end, the plot, the characters' names. It was just there. And then when I started writing, we go into what we call the zone. And that's where we're in a bubble, and nobody can get in that bubble, and we can't get out of that bubble. And we just write, and it flows, and it's gold, and the characters talk to us, and they tell us where to go next, and new characters come up and introduce themselves, and you put them where they need to go. And it's magic when you hit that gold, when you're in that zone, and everything that comes out. When you force yourself to write and you look at it the next day and you go, oh my God, what crap did I write? Why did I waste my time doing that? But when you're in the zone, everything is just beautiful. It just flows. And when I watched the second film, then I had the quest. And when I watched the third film, no, I didn't have a third book because I wanted to finish it on 2 books, a duology and not a trilogy like Lord of the Rings. Now, the thing, even though Tolkien inspired me and Peter Jackson, oh my God, what an amazing director. That film, I've never watched a film that could beat Lord of the Rings. Even The Hobbit didn't come close.
A true fan.
A true fan, yes. So even though they inspired me to write the 2 books, there are no wizards, there are no hobbits, there's no elves, there's no dwarves, there's no goblins, there's no trolls. None of the fantasy stereotypes are in my book. Everything is unique. The spells are unique, the people are unique, the names, the magic that happens, the fantasy characters, everything is unique.
It's an original.
That's what makes world building, because I've created a world that didn't exist. She's a office worker in England, and then all of a sudden she's in this magical, dangerous but magical and wondrous place called Ticinia, and where she finds out who she really is and her birthright and prophecy of what she's supposed to be doing to help her kingsman. And there's a love triangle, and there's evil versus good, and there's so much going on in these 2 books. There's loads of twists. When you think you know what's going to happen, you don't.
I like twists. I love
twists.
Yeah,
no, you don't. But the world building is making a world that didn't exist and making sure that the reader can step into that world and it exists in their mind. If you can do that, then you've done a good job.
That's awesome. So we know what world building is now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll mention this really briefly. Talk about twists, one of my favorite artists, authors, when they do twists, is, and you're probably familiar too, is all the plays written by Agatha Christie. Just when you think, and I've been in 2 plays that Agatha Christie wrote. So just when the audience thinks they figured it out, it's always a whodunit, but just when you think you got it, I mean, it completely flips. So you say you've got twists in your novels as well.
I have. I mean, I have 2 collections here. These are Heads and Tails and Undressed. And each of them are collections of what we call flash fiction. Now, for those that don't know what flash fiction is,
I don't.
Another word for it is a 1-minute fiction. And basically, it's a story of one maybe 1.5 pages. There you go. That's one there, and then it finishes on the other page. That is a whole story, start, middle, and end. And I love writing flash fiction, and I've done, like you can see, I've done a lot of them. But I love having twists at the end.
I do too.
where the readers just got to the end and they've gone, oh my God, or what
I didn't see that happening. Yeah,
I didn't see that happen. I didn't see that coming. So I love giving my readers a really nice twist. I've got this one here, which is a little paperback pocketbook, and you actually buy it that size, so you can actually have it in your pocket.
What is the name of that book?
And this is all flash fiction of the horror genre.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Now, when I say horror, I don't mean stuff like ghosts and creepy crawlies and what have you. It's my horror's more to do with like darkness. These, like I said, flash fiction are very, very short. I'm just I'm going to read you one really quickly.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, she's going to read an excerpt from a book, so we're ready. It's called Flash of Horror. Okay.
It's this one, Flash of Horror, and it's called A Man on the Edge.
Okay.
Images etched in his mind, memories too painful to remember yet too precious to forget. They're not flashbacks, more like previews of a film, the film of his life. He's dancing with his wife while his 3-year-old son watches and laughs. One hand is on her petite waist, while he folds the other into her soft hand. She laughs happily as he swings her around. The image fades and is replaced by a scene in their car. The radio's on and playing a popular Christmas song. Mother and child sing along together. She's not driving fast and both passengers are belted. Nevertheless, she brakes hard as she tries to avoid a cat that's sitting in the middle of the road. The wheels spin on a small patch of black ice and she loses control as it slides and then spins wildly, stopping only when the oncoming HGV plows into the side. It tosses the car as though it's made of cardboard and the passengers merely paper cutouts. They die instantly, and although he never saw the accident, his memory gladly played his family's last moments. The image changes again. This time he sees himself standing beside the roulette wheel. A huge pile of chips sits on the unlucky number. The ball spins around the colourful wheel, silver flashes as though laughing at him. The ball slows, deliberately taking its time before deciding which customer it would fortune. Fortune did not smile on him that night. Within a period of 4 months, he'd lost everything. His depression caused his drinking. His drinking caused him to lose his job. The man stared at the clear blue sky ahead. He took a deep breath and inhaled the cold, crisp air. Things seem much clearer up here, he thought, as he took his final step.
Wow. See, and you put us in his shoes. You talked about at the beginning of this program in world building. You put us in the character's shoes. I felt like I was walking with him, or I actually was him. So, oh wow, that sounds really great. See, now you've brought your audience in. You've intrigued them. They want to know more now. We want to know more now. But hey, we got to buy the book.
That's what a flash fiction is. The story's ended. He took his final step off the cliff, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you got to. I'm going to bring a compliment in from our live audience, Karina. I'll read it to you. Jean Hudson says she is a vibrant writer. You can visualize what she is talking about. That is rare nowadays. All right.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you so much. That's beautiful.
Well, let's talk about, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about Karina's experience, which she has, 27 years of wealth of experience. Let's talk about her work now. And Karina, I'll bring some print screens up, and you can kind of tell our audience kind of what we're looking at and promote. So this is the one I think you just read to us, but let me show a bigger picture of it. Is this the book?
Yeah. Tales that would delight, fright, and leave you questioning your sanity.
That's the one you just read a part of, right?
No, this collection has, I think, 12 short stories, 12 flash fictions.
Oh, it's a collection of short stories. I forgot.
Yes. What I read you was a whole story. There's no more to it.
That was it. Oh, okay. But we want to know more about the books, though.
No, everyone has a start, middle, and end, and everyone has a really good twist.
Wow.
I never thought of myself as a horror writer until someone told me that my writing, my flash fiction, was very dark in nature. And I took a step back and had a look, and I was like, oh, bloody hell, it is. I thought I was just writing, I don't know, just a scene of this crash and what he was feeling and his emotions and then the twist at the end and what have you. But no, it was very dark. And I write science fiction about viruses. I actually wrote it before the pandemic, but about viruses and stuff. And I thought it was just a flash fiction until I stood back and saw what other people were reading and realized it's really dark and more horror side of it than just flash fiction. But yes.
That's very interesting. Let's go to some of your other books, but we got another compliment from our audience. The Bat Mom says the writer's voice is soothing. Well,
thank you. I do narrations. That's one of the services that I do. I mean, I do narrate my own work, small excerpts, like 5 to 7 minutes of one of my an excerpt from one of my books. But other authors say hire me to narrate these excerpts from their books. It goes onto an MP3 and it also goes onto video on YouTube. I have over 120 videos on there now for narrations. And so, yeah, I do love writing and reading stories just as much.
And can you kind of summarize what we talked about? We got a question from the audience from Bat Mom again. She says, "I'm sorry, what's flash fiction? Can you kind of give us a roundabout again?"
Yeah, flash fiction it's a short story that's around about for anything from 300 to 1,000 words. That's it. And the story must have a start, middle, and end. Basically, this one page here is one story called Poison, and it's one story. This one here, The Gateway, that's just 2 pages. That's it. That's one story. And so it's called flash fiction, but it's also called 1 minute fiction because it takes you a minute to read.
Read it, okay.
But they're so thought-provoking that they're going to stay with you for a really long time, even though they're so short. They're just going to like dig into your brain, and you're not going to be able to forget them for a while.
That one you read is going to be with me. Yeah, because now I'm like, oh, wow. Oh.
If you think that's powerful, you should read some others. Seriously.
Absolutely. Look, let's go through your other books too. How about, let's talk a whole set right here. Wow. Now, is this a series or these are individual books?
These, you've got the ones I showed you, Illusional Reality and The Quest. And then you've got the duology, which is her wearing a yellow cloak, gold cloak. That's the 2 books in one, the box set. And then you've got Illusional Reality, which is the same sort of cover, but that is the audio book of book 1, Illusional Reality.
Wow. And how long did it take? How long does it usually take you, Karina, to like write a book? If you're going to write a novel about, I mean, I know you're not rushing, but on an average, how long would it take you to write a book from beginning to end? Any certain time?
Well, it can take I think Broken Chains took me about 9 months for the first draft, which is my latest release, which I've just got a copy. I had it arrive just the other day, and I finally holding my copy in my hands. Oh. That's an amazing experience for an author to actually have the first paperback. Wonderful feeling. So this one took I think about 8 or 9 months for the first draft. Now the first draft is the bare bones. It then goes to the editor, and the editor comes back and tells you what's missing, what needs changing, So you go through about 3 different drafts before it's actually ready for someone to format, and then for the beta readers to read before it's published. It goes through lots of stages. You actually get so sick and tired of looking at your own book by the end of the process, because you're just constantly reading it and checking it and reading
editing
it.
I'm sure too. Yeah.
It's hard work.
And then here's this book. I thought the title or the intro was kind of interesting. Can True Love Really Die? That's the one you showed us earlier, right?
That's the one, with my lovely medals on the front. The Quest is part 2 of Illusional Reality. Okay. And you'd have to read part 1 to know what's happening in part 2. But they do go together. They are a pair. But, I mean, it's a duology and a duology. If I can show you quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I don't know how I'm going to do this. There we go. There's Thaya. And then the other side. If you put a line down, it's actually 2 people.
It's like a split personality.
Exactly.
DID.
And in the second, we have another duology within a duology.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. I remember
watching it's a duology in a duology. So those that love fantasy, paranormal romance, it's clean, it's young adult, so there's no sex or anything in it. Then check these out. If you want something with explicit graphic scenes, 18 only, adult, Broken Chains is a dark mafia romance. It has the Greek mafia, the Italian mafia, and the Russian mafia, and MI5 in the book. It's just been released. It's already won an award, which I haven't got on the cover at the moment, but it already won an award for being a top pick of 2022.
Awesome.
So this is a really, really good book. I love that book. And the new one that's just come out today, which is Road Rage, is a dark MC romance. Now, MC stands for Motorcycle Club. So if you think of Sons of Anarchy, the TV show.
Sons of Anarchy, yes.
Oh my God, you've got to read my stuff, Bob. You will love it. It's like a script of Sons of Anarchy. But all of my books came out before Sons of Anarchy ever came out on the TV, just so you know that.
First.
So Road Rage was officially released today. And that
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is a dark romance. So there's sex in it, explicit sex, and graphic violent scenes in it. So they are 18 plus, but I mean, you've got Stone Cold, which is young adult. So I do erotica, I do young adult, I do supernatural, I do thrillers, fantasy, paranormal romance,
you covered everything.
I think I cover nearly every fiction genre in my library so far.
Well, I got a question from the audience. You've got all these books. You've got lots of nice artwork on the front too. Gene Hudson's asking, who does your cover art? Do you do that?
No.
You're an artist as well?
Yeah. No. These two. This one. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Yeah, they're all done by Fantasia Cover Designs, Sharon Lipman. She's an amazing artist, a really good friend of mine, and she did those covers for me. The new ones, which you will see for the Outlaw series, because I've just changed the covers and got a new publishing imprint. Right, there we go. These were actually done by a designer on a place called Fiverr. Now, you can find designers and promoters and marketers and everything on Fiverr. So as an author, this is a great place to go. I didn't pay $5 for them, of course, even though it's called Fiverr, you pay a lot more than $5. But they are exactly what I was looking for, to how the original covers, if you look how the original covers were, it was just a cover of the biker's jacket with the patch on the back. Now, at the time, these were fine. These did the job. I didn't want a naked man on the front or a sexy woman or whatever. But then they stopped selling, and I assumed it was the covers. So then I got the covers redesigned. I got a new publishing imprint, and the covers are selling the books.
Good.
Which they deserve to be. They deserve to be read because they're bloody awesome.
Absolutely. Let's go back to this one real quick. Now, you've written many books, but on this one, this is a series, right? This is a series, correct?
It is. This is the Outlaw series, which starts with In Times of Violence, then Huntress, Lawless Justice, and Road Rage. Road Rage, even though it's the fourth book and only just been re-released, you can read it as a standalone. You don't need to read any of these in order, because the only reason they're in a series is because they're all about outlaw motorcycle clubs like Hell's Angels. Sure. So each one is about not a fiction club, motorcycle outlaw club, and so because of them all being outlaws, they've been put into a series called Outlaw, but they can all be read as individual standalone books.
Interesting. Now, you've written so many books, but ladies and gentlemen, she has also won numerous awards. Let me bring that up, and very impressive. So here, let me bring this up. Karina, you can tell us kind of what awards you've that you've received.
Yeah, last year I won, and still going this year actually, I've won 12 film awards from international film festivals.
Impressive.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I thought an international film festival would be a full-length movie, but actually there are film festivals that do short movies. And what is a book trailer? It's a short movie. So my book trailers have actually won international film festival awards. as best trailer, best feature film,
Oh,
a
wow.
special mention award, and the list goes on. I have about 12 now for about four different book trailers for different books that I've made, not just my own, but other clients' books as well. And also a documentary that I did in 2000. I think I did it. And that's been winning awards as well at the film festivals.
Very impressive. Oh, wow. And so how many books overall have you written and then other published? I mean, how would you
Right.
say that?
I've got 14 at the moment actually
14.
published.
Wow.
I've just got a publishing contract for Toxic. Little paperback book again, little pocket book. Toxic, I did co-writing with another author on this. It's the first time I've actually done a book with another author. And we wanted to do a dystopian world. Again, world building. We wanted to create a world in the dystopian, which means it was like the end of a war, the end
nuclear
of
war or something.
Nuclear war, yeah. Something happened to the world to make them live in this dystopian life. Mm-hmm. So we got together on Zoom and we had a chat. And by 2 hours later, we had the whole plot for book one. We knew the characters' names, we knew what was going to happen. And then we wrote each scene and we swapped them over and we had a look at each other's writing and did the editing and swapped it back. And then we decided that we'd built such an amazing world that we couldn't leave it as one book. So we decided to do book two.
Sequel.
Well, after we'd done the first draft of book two, we were actually offered a contract for all 6 books. Now, the reason I say 6 books is because I've kept mine naughty and she's kept hers nice. So the reader can actually have a choice of exactly the same story, exactly the same book, but one has a door open and one has a door closed.
Oh, that's an interesting approach.
And and the publisher has taken all 6 books. So we've still got book 3 to write. We've still got to publish book 2. This will come off the sales soon because the publisher will want to edit it and put their own spin on it and everything. But it's a dystopian sci-fi erotica, Toxic.
Boy, that sounds intriguing as well. Everything you've written. And let's, right now, our audience, I think my audience right now was chomping at the bit, Karina. I'm sure their question is, how do they order your books? Where, if people want to order your books, and that's books plural, more than one, where would you suggest they go to buy your books, Karina?
Well, if you're looking for an ebook, you can find them in all of the e-reader places. Barnes & Noble for your Nook, Kobo, Amazon for your Kindle, Apple for your iPad and iPhone. Mm-hmm. For paperbacks, you can go onto Amazon and find them in paperback. I think they're on Walmart, Target. Just either go to those shops or just go to Google or Yahoo and just put Karina Kantas and you'll get quite a few.
See it, Karina Kantas. Remember that. Just Google Karina Kantas, ladies and gentlemen. And what about on your name over there? Is that you've got a website? What is this website? What will people see if they go there?
If you click on that link, if you put the link in and you click on it, it will take you to a page that has every single one of my social media links, every one of my book links, every one of my my newsletter sign up, my website. Every link that you need will be on this one tree called Linktree.
And I want to make sure that, ladies and gentlemen, that's not a mistype. I thought it was, but it does say Linktr, but there is a dot between the EE. It is Linktree, but remember, don't forget the dot if you type that in. It's linktr.ee/Karina Kantas. So, yeah, I would have totally left the period off and no, why is this not working?
And you can, like I said, you can find me on all of you on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, just look me up. I'm on there 24/7 almost. So you can find me on all of the social media platforms.
I'm a Facebook junkie too, so I'll probably see you there as well. So what would you suggest I guess my question would be: there's probably someone either watching this live or will later on watch this, the recording of it, and maybe they're an author and they want to publish, and we talk about them publishing, but say they've already got the paper, they got a computer. Do they just start writing? Should they think about what they're going to write in advance? I mean, how would they get started, I guess is what I'm asking.
If you've got that story that's been living inside you for so long, if you've got an idea that just won't let go, then you're meant to write it. Not everyone is supposed to be a published author. Not everyone is supposed to write a book. A lot of them think they do, but not everyone is supposed to do it. Trust me on that. But once you've done it, once you've got that first draft out, and if you're serious and you want to get that published, then you're going to need to find an editor. And I don't mean your next door neighbor or your mum.
Sure.
I mean, actually pay for a professional editor, and you're going to have to pay for a professional cover designer, because if you don't get the formatting done correctly, if you don't get the cover correctly, if you don't get it edited correctly, then your book won't stand a chance. You'll put it out there, people will pick it up, they'll complain to Amazon, you'll get kicked off Amazon for trying to publish a badly written book. If the cover doesn't sell the book, then you're not going to get sales. So there's so many little elements that need, like you said, everything needs to be put together for it to work. But don't go out and publish a story that you wrote 10 years ago without getting it properly, edited and formatted and a beautiful cover. And this costs money. And if you haven't got the money to hire someone professional, then you're not ready to publish. It's as simple as that. You can publish a book on Lulu and on Amazon free of charge. It doesn't cost anything to publish a book. But what costs is to have that book ready to be published. If your book isn't ready, if it's not polished, then wait until it is, because you need to give that book the best chance it has. And it only has one chance. And if you don't, then, it's not fair on the book. It's not fair. All that time you took writing that story that means so much to you, you didn't give it the start it deserved. And so it has to be polished. It has to be ready before it's published. And the publishing, like I said, you can do for free. It doesn't cost anything. So you need to save for your editor, your cover designer, and your formatter.
I guess the lesson learned here is don't rush. Don't rush it. Just take your time. Do it right. What's the old adage? Haste makes waste. So
exactly. And the same what we said before about the social media platforms. If you're serious about publishing that book and of course you want to find readers for it, you want to sell copies, then you need to start making an account on Twitter, an account on Facebook, and start getting into these groups and that are in writers that write in the same genre that you've just written your book in. You don't try and go in there to sell your book because they're writers, but you talk with them and you start communicating, and you learn from your peers. That's the most important thing, is learn from someone who's already done it. Listen to what they say. They'll tell you the ins and outs. They'll tell you the do's and don'ts. Always listen to your peers.
Absolutely. Because sometimes, your peers will be, your worst critics sometimes, but you want that feedback though, so.
They say, authors have to have a thick skin because of so many knockdowns. But these knockdowns build you into the person you're going to become. They build you into a better author, a better writer because of it.
Absolutely. Well, Karina, I appreciate you being on the show, but I do want to remind my audience, I'm going to show your wonderful books again. Ladies and gentlemen, if these books intrigue you, which they do me, then I would highly, highly recommend looking these books up and checking them out. Check out the reviews. And like I said, Google her name, Karina Kantas, and you're bound to find something here that you are interested in. And like I said, you even mentioned some of the main retailers have your books, like Walmart and Target. So you're really out there. So, I mean, I'm applauding. mean, I love hearing good success stories like that, and I look forward to seeing more of your work, especially that book too you told me about the toxic one. That sounds very, very interesting as well.
Would you get the erotic version, or would you get the clean one?
I won't say that on public forum. I don't want to implicate myself, but everybody's saying, yeah, we know which one he's going to get. But you know, that's really an interesting approach. You know, it's almost like, if I can use this analogy, it's like when you go, say there's a movie showing at the movie theater and it's rated R. Okay, it's got a lot of stuff in it. But if it's ever put on broadcast television, they have to, quote, clean it up or edit it a little bit. In other words, the people watching it on broadcast television are seeing the same story, but they've cut the erotic and the bad language and everything. So that's kind of what I compare it to. Is that a fair comparison or not?
Yeah, most definitely. And it hasn't been done before, especially not with two authors. Maybe an author has the same book and done a clean and naughty version of the same book, but two authors have never done this before. So it's something new. And now getting that publishing contract, we're hoping that it's going to find the readers that it deserves. Because as self-published authors, we didn't have enough weight to get the book to the people to see, to learn about it, to hear about it, and to read it. So we're hoping that with this new publishing contract, that it's finally going to get the recognition it deserves, because it's a fantastic world-building, amazing world that we've created, and the reason behind it and what happens in the two books so far is just, I can just, you know, praise it, because it is freaking awesome. I mean, all the stories are, the world building in anything, even the MC romances, you've got to build a world within that club and what goes on behind the doors, that people don't know what happens behind the doors of an outlaw motorcycle club, you know. So it's got to be entertaining, but you've also got to stick to the truth. It's got to have some reality to it. It's got to be reality based. My books are very dark and they're gritty, but they are as realistic as I can make them.
It needs to be, and it needs to be. I feel like it needs to be real, you know, as close to real life as possible.
It's, I mean, romances, they're not all heart and chocolate hearts and
happily ever after.
Exactly. You don't get you don't get many happy ever afters in my book, because I write about life and how it really is. And so, I mean, there are some drive off in the sunset and happy ever after, what have you.
Well, Karina, I really appreciate you being on the show. Learned a lot about writing and publishing and world building. And your books, well, you've actually, proven yourself over and over and over with all your interesting books, and to be published and have it all on these platforms and all these large merchants. I mean, it's really, I mean, you're worldwide famous. So, would love to have you back on the show, Karina, if I could offer that, because to get more of an update on your future books, that would be very interesting, I believe. And my audience would like it as well.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Okay. Well, have a great day, Karina, and we'll be talking to you soon. Good luck.
Bye, everyone.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it all for the Van Buren Variety Show tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. I really did. And remember, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, because then you'll get alerts about upcoming guests, upcoming events. And just a reminder for those of you that are new, every week I have an individual guest on to talk about an individual topic. Could be a profession. It might be a hobby. They might make some crafts, cooking. We'll have some musical entertainment coming up as well. So hence the name Variety. So make sure you like this video as well, this particular episode, and make sure you do look up Karina Kantas's work, because I think you'll be very pleased with what she's written. So that's all for me tonight. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Good night, everybody. Have a good night.